Welcome back, my friends. Today we have a special video. It is titled Secret of the Ancients. And what I'm about to share with you has completely changed my life in everything that I've ever read, financial books, right? There's so many out there. I could list off a bunch. This text and these readings I'm about to share with you, just a few of them, literally stopped me in my tracks and gave me for the first time a tangible way to begin fattening my purse. And we're going to see from the parables of George Clayson, he talks about these ancient secrets that date way back in history. And it's a fictional story, but it has a lot of relevance throughout the ages. And back when he wrote this over 100 years ago, U.S. banks and insurance companies began to just publish his works due to how revolutionizing it was. And then it comprised itself into a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. This audio version that I listened to literally stopped me in my tracks. I pulled the car over and it changed my life. I first was aware of this 7 years ago and it changed my journey and trajectory forever. So as we look at the portfolio and we're tracking the portfolio over time, I felt that it would be advantageous to share with you how I began my beginnings. And several people have began their beginnings this way. So no matter where you are on the spectrum of your wallet he talks about your purse, whether it's a lean purse or a fat purse, no matter where we are, we're going to learn something from this. And I was with a guy the other day, meeting with him, and he's like, okay, I see what you're doing with your portfolio, but that doesn't help me because, wow, if you have this amount of money in your portfolio, then of course, it's going to look larger to you. But what are you going to do for me, somebody who has $50,000 or who has $5,000 or $500, and that's all that you have? That is why I'm doing this channel and why I'm doing this work, is because right now we live in an unprecedented time where there's a massive wealth transfer going on that provides you and I the opportunity, the common average Joe, a seat at the table to take part in something perhaps more revolutionary than anything that's ever been experienced on planet Earth. This whole cryptocurrency blockchain revolution. Okay. And so what really stopped me in my tracks is at that time, I was being exposed to the cryptocurrency world in a large way. And the way that he talks, and you'll see as I read some of these to you, he talks in gold coins and putting these coins to work. And I was completely floored by the similarities. And so it's so relevant for us all here right now. And I felt like it was powerful to share this with you. It's a little bit something a little different, but that's how this experience is going to be on the channel. It's going to be spontaneous at times. Life is spontaneous sometimes. Okay. This isn't my full-time job. I do other things. I have a lot of other things that I have going on. I have a family. And so I'm trying my best to put out some beautiful content for you all so that you can at least see what this opportunity that's going by, whether or not you jump on board, right? And that's for you to make the decision, but it's happening regardless of you. And I was talking to another friend and he said, I have a friend, he's in Europe. He's like, I have a friend that says he hasn't come across one video that can prove to him that this is something worthwhile. And he's just straight up stocks and bonds kind of guy. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to say anything that can help prove this guy, if somebody's made up in their mind the reality of something, there's nothing you could say to actually talk them into anything. And so that's not what this channel is about. It's not about talking you into anything. It's about being there for those people who are actually open to something. Right? That's where I was on the street, driving my car. I was open. I was looking. I was hoping. I was searching. I was dreaming. That's what this channel is for. Right? So if you're rigid and you're set in stone, it's not going to be for you. If you're open, if you can see opportunities, if you can discern and do research and understand and gain knowledge for yourself, then this channel is going to be for you. And as we approach the portfolio, and I'll kind of discuss and I'll show you some CNT tokens, these Cardano native tokens that are nearing off the chart, I felt that it was appropriate to talk about this right now as we look at $1 million portfolio. We started in tracking it, January 25th. That's when I started to track it. And since that time, it has grown from $581,000 to it's now near $1 million. And so before the portfolio swells to this place that could be a lot more than $1 million, I want to take a moment and pay homage to the beginnings and share with you so that you could really jump on board with this teaching, so that you can add it to your knowledge base. I sat there with the guy who was like, he had $50,000 that he had at his disposal. I'm like, it's way more than that I had when I started, right? And I said to him, well, what if the portfolio measures? He's asking me, well, where do you think it would go? Like, what do you think? And I told him some numbers, and I said, well, what would that be like for you if that happens? And he's like, that would be something epic that I would never consider. And so there's a lot of depth and there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of energy behind what I do. And I will always be transparent and share these experiences with you. So before we move forward and before the portfolio crests into the $1 million territory, we need to take a moment and understand this together. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to read a couple of these parables. There's so many of them, nuggets of value in this text. You could go get it yourself. I'm going to share with you 6 of them. So I'm just going to read from that, and then afterwards, we're going to take a look at the portfolio, and we're going to move past this point. Okay, so this, just to give you a little bit of text, context. He is this teacher who is one of the wealthier people of the times. And he is summoned to educate this group of 100 men on how he got so successful. And so that's kind of like the backstory, very broad backstory. And so now what he has formed is a group of people, and every single day he's going to tell them one of these cures for a lean purse, he calls it. And we're going to go through 6 of them. And I'm going to read it in its text. Okay, so it is a little bit of a historical document written in history. So the words and the phrases are old school, as you'll see. And I'll try to adapt it in a way that is a little bit modernized. But I am certain that this should affect you with tremendous value. Okay, so the first cure for a lean purse is to begin where you are. Now, these are going to be simple, but truth is simple, and he's going to explain this. So begin where you are. What does he mean by this? Okay, so now, my students, ye can see that there are many trades and labors at which men may earn coins. each of the ways of earning a stream of gold from which the worker doth divert by his labors a portion to his own purse. Therefore, into the purse of each of you flows a stream of coins, large or small, according to his ability. Is it not so?" Thereupon they agreed that it was so. "Then," continued the teacher, "if each of you desireth to build for himself a fortune, is it not wise to start by utilizing that source of wealth which he already has established?" To this they agreed. Then the teacher turned to a humble man who had declared himself an egg merchant. "If thou select one of thy baskets and put into it each morning 10 eggs and take out from it each evening 9 eggs, what will eventually happen?" "It will become in time overflowing." "Why?" asked the teacher. "Because each day I put in 1 more egg than I take out." So the teacher turned to the class with a smile. "Do any of you have here lean purses?" First they looked amused, then they laughed. Lastly, they waved their purses in jest. "All right," he continued. "Now I shall tell thee the first remedy I learned to cure a lean purse. Do exactly as I have suggested to the egg merchant. For every 10 coins thou placest within thy purse, take out for use but 9. Thy purse will start to fatten at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in thy hand and bring satisfaction to thy soul. Deride not what I say because of its simplicity. Truth is always simple. I told thee I would tell how I built my fortune. This was my beginning. I too carried a lean purse and cursed it because there was not within it to satisfy my desires. But when I began to take out from my purse but 9 parts of 10 I put in, it began to fatten, and so will thine. Now I tell a strange truth, the reason for which I know not. When I ceased to pay out more than 9/10 of my earnings, I managed to get along just as well. I was not shorter than before. Also, before long, did coins come to me more easily than before. Surely it is a law of unknown truth that unto him who keepeth and spendeth not a certain part of all his earnings shall gold come more easily. Likewise, him whose purse is empty does gold avoid. Which desirest thou most? Is it the gratification of thy desires of each day? A jewel, a bit of finery, better raiment, more food, things quickly gone and forgotten? Or is it substantial belongings, gold, lands, merchandise, income-bringing investments? The coins thou takest from thy purse bring the first. The coins thou leavest within it will bring the latter. This, my students, was the first cure I did discover for my lean purse. For each 10 coins I put in, to spend but 9. Debate this amongst yourselves. Let me tell you right now, that stopped me in my tracks and changed my life completely. It's so easy to think about that. And at that time, of course, I'm working, I'm saving, but not like this, not as sophisticated as this, as simple as this sounds. Yes, I was saving, but I wasn't saving in such a way where every single time I got paid money, I would take 10% of that and put it in a storage account. That was the difference. I'd save here and there and put a portion, but the method and message behind this text, and it's written differently in the book and other chapters, is that before you do anything else with any kind of money you run into, you take 10% of that and you move it to the side. That is the process. So now every single time I got paid, every time I got a birthday card, no matter what it was, 10% of that went over here, and it becomes satisfying to do that. No matter how big or small the checks you make, we all bizarrely end up kind of having the same amount, because the more money you make, and we're going to look at this in the next cure, is our expenditures. So when I was out in LA doing this mentorship program, when I was first introduced to the cryptocurrency world and entrepreneurial minded individuals and mentors in the first place, this is what was talked about a lot, is that no matter, like, doctors would go there, or lawyers, business entrepreneurs that had a good living ended up spending more because they're making more. So they're left with the same in the end, in a way, right? You'd think that, if somebody's making $250,000 a year, of course they're going to have a lot more money than somebody who's making $50,000 a year. And honestly, it's not really the case, because what tends to happen in human nature is we're kind of spending to our limits and even beyond and past our limits. And what this is telling us is to live in a different psychology where we're living below our limits. Okay. And that is, and it's not to be begrudged by that reality, but to actually see that as satisfying. And it is. Okay. That's the first cure. We're going to move right along to the second cure. And the second cure is control thy expenditures. Some of your members, my students, have asked me this: how can a man keep 1/10 of all he earns in his purse when all the coins he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? So did the teacher address his students on the second day. Yesterday, how many of thee carried lean purses? All of us, answered the class. Yet thou do not all earn the same. Some earn much more than others. Some have much larger families to support. Yet all purses are equally lean. Now, I will tell thee an unusual truth about men and sons of men. It is this, that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. Confuse not the necessary expenses with thy desires. Each of you, together with your good families, have more desires than your earnings can gratify. Therefore, are thy earnings spent to gratify these desires insofar as they will go? Still thou retainest many ungratified desires. All men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Because of my wealth, thinkest thou I may gratify every desire? 'Tis a false idea. There are limits to my time. There are limits to my strength. There are limits to the distance I may travel. There are limits to what I may eat. There are limits to the zest which I may enjoy. I say to you that just as weeds grow in a field wherever the farmer leaves space for their roots, even so freely do the desires grow in men whenever there is a possibility of their being gratified. Thy desires are a multitude, and those that thou mayest gratify are but a few. Study thoughtfully thy accustomed habits of living. Herein may be most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let thy motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. Therefore, engrave upon the clay each thing for which thou desireth to spend. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of 9/10 of thy income. Cross out the rest and consider them but a part of that great multitude of desires that must go unsatisfied, and regret them not. Budget then thy necessary expenses, touch not the 1/10 that is fattening thy purse. Let this be thy great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with thy budget. Keep adjusting it to help thee. Make it thy first assistant in defending thy fattening purse. Hereupon one of the students, wearing a robe of red and gold, arose and said, I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore, I do rebel against this slavery of a budget which determines just how much I may spend and for what. I feel I would take much pleasure from my life. The purpose of a budget is to help thy purse to fatten. It is to assist thee to have thy necessities and, insofar as attainable, thy other desires. It is to enable thee to realize the most cherished desires by defending them from thy casual wishes. Like a bright light in a dark cave, the budget shows up the leaks from thy purse and enables thee to stop them from control thy expenditures for definite and gratifying purposes. Budget thy expenses that thou mayest have coins to pay for thy necessities, to pay for thy enjoyments, and to gratify thy worthwhile desires without spending more than 9/10 of thy earnings. I love this part that says, let it be thy great desire that it is being fulfilled. That process of building your stash, your storage account, your savings account, is a satisfying endeavor. And later on in this book, he talks about paying back debt and the whole 9 yards. It's incredible. And it really is more satisfying than anything you could ever buy. Right? And he's not talking about being mindless with what you're doing. It is really surgical in its simplicity and why it has impacted my life so strongly. If things are confusing and complex, it's hard to continue that and upkeep a process that's complex and confusing. Because this is so darn simple, it's very achievable to sustain this type of life because we run into these money all the time. And when we continue to practice this, it's very strange how more money comes to you. And this directly relates to how you can translate that into opportunities discussed here. The third one here, it's one of the greatest ones. And it really, as I began to listen to this for the first time, I couldn't believe how closely related it was to the current situation I was looking at when I got involved in blockchain. Okay. Third cure, make thy gold multiply. Behold, thy lean purse is fattening. Thou hast disciplined thyself to leave therein 1/10 of all thou earnest. Thou hast controlled thy expenditures to protect thy growing treasure. Next, we will consider means to put thy treasure to labor and increase. Gold in a purse is gratifying to own and satisfieth a miserly soul, but earns nothing. The gold we may retain from our earnings is but the start. The earnings it will make shall build our fortunes. How, therefore, may we put our gold to work? I tell you, my students, a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse. It is the income he buildeth, the golden stream that continually floweth into his purse and keepeth it always bulging. That is what every man desireth. That is what thou, each one of these students, desireth, an income that continueth to come whether thou work or travel. Then it is the third cure for a lean purse, to put each coin to laboring, that it may reproduce its kind, even as the flocks of the field, and help bring to the income a stream of wealth that shall flow constantly into thy purse. First thing that comes to my mind is Cardano's implementation of liquid non-custodial staking, my friends. In a video or two ago, I talked about how on April 1st, I'm going to put out quarterly updates of the quantity of tokens, because each one of these tokens in the model portfolio shares Cardano's glorious architecture of liquid non-custodial staking. So from the beginning, when we look at the portfolio, we'll look at it here in a minute. That was a short one. And we're halfway there. And they get better with every one. They get more deep. These tokens, these Cardano native assets are growing because of the instruments of DeFi, where you could welcome yourself to the world of Web3. Congratulations if you're already there. And use these assets to work for you hardcore. And I'm like stunned by how relatable that is to hear it here and now in today's age. So we're going to learn how to do that. We're going to learn how to do that. And if you're in my membership program, if you're in the Crypto Fluency exclusive member class, we have OG members. We have our inner circle group. You're going to have a lot more access to just how that could be possible with my notifications that I put out. That valuable. I mean, gold valuable, I would say. Okay. That's just our opinion here at Crypto Fluency, right? You be the judge. Here we are for the fourth cure. Guard thy treasures from loss. Okay. Did you see my last live video? I talked about hacks and I talked about rug pulls and I talked about, it really pains me that people invest so much time and energy and everything into everything, and then they lose it. They get scammed. They get rug pulled, right? Next video I'm going to put out about scams. You have to really watch it. That's another reason. I said my first reason, there's 1,000 for Cardano as being the number one blockchain that we model here on Derek on Chain. Is what Crypto Fluency is focused on modeling, is because of security. And so again, when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, security. Guard thy treasures from loss. The fourth cure for a lean purse. Misfortune loves a shining mark. Gold in a man's purse must be guarded with firmness, else it be lost. Thus it is wise that we must first secure small amounts and learn to protect them before we can be trusted with the larger. Every owner of gold is tempted by opportunities where it would seem that he could make large sums by its investment in most plausible projects. Often friends and relatives are eagerly entering such investments and urge him to follow. The first sound principle of investment is security for thy principal. It is wise to be intrigued. Is it wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost? I say not. The penalty of risk is probable loss. Study carefully before parting with thy treasure, each assurance that it may be safely reclaimed. Be not misled by thy own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly. Before thou entrust it as an investment in any field, acquaint thyself with the dangers which may beset it. Therefore I do advise thee from the wisdom of my experiences, be not too confident of thy own wisdom in entrusting thy treasures to the possible pitfalls of investments. Better by far to consult the wisdom of those experienced in handling gold in tokens for profit. Such advice is freely given for the asking and may readily possess a value equal in gold to the sum thou considerest investing. In truth, such is its actual value if it save thee from loss. This then is the fourth cure for a lean purse, and of great importance if it prevent thy purse from being emptied once it has become well filled. Guard thy treasure from loss by investing only where the principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desirable, and where thou wilt not fail to collect a fair rental. Consult with wise men. Secure the advice of those experienced in the profitable handling of gold. Let their wisdom protect thy treasure from unsafe investment. At the time of reading this, I had such a diverse portfolio and I had no idea what I was into. I was like most people today that just are following what the status quo suggests as it related to the cryptocurrency portfolio gathering, right? That it was Bitcoin, you needed Ethereum, you needed, and there was a plethora of altcoins. There's Tron, there's all these, there's EOS, there's Neo, there's all these coins, and there are thousands and thousands of coins. And I had no idea that there were wallets and that there were different blockchains and that there were layer ones and layer twos. I had no idea. And in the mix and in the plethora of my portfolio sat this beautiful project called Cardano, ADA. And in the more I was doing research on every single one of these projects over and over, diving deep into every single one of them, because I put some skin in the game. I put $30 in. I put $30 in, right? Put money in. You have to look. You have to. It's not gambling. We're not excited about losing this. It was scary. I had no idea what a ledger wallet was and these passphrases and all this bizarre thinking. And I researched Cardano and I'm reading and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Their first principles project. They're conducting scientific peer review, meaning every single thing that they put out has to go through rigorous scientific peer review scrutiny. There is no other project out there doing that because of how intimidating that is for a company, for a technology to do. I mean, imagine you're growing, so you're developing a language, a technology language. And in Cardano's case, it's Ouroboros. And you write these papers and you come up with these theories and these proofs, and then you ship it out to institutions all over the place where the greatest minds, the greatest mathematicians, the greatest scientists are looking at it with fine-tooth scrutiny, trying to break it, trying to smash it, trying to disprove it. And it survives that process and comes out. And at that time, everybody is saying Cardano is a ghost chain. There's nothing there. It's not hitting its roadmap. It's not hitting its measures. And I read this and I said, oh my goodness, they're focused on security. They came out with a daedalus wallet. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to trust this wallet or the exchange. Thank goodness. What was FTX debacle? FTX, what was that? That was a complete mess. People lost their money. Why? Because they're leaving their tokens on this exchange because they don't know. They don't educated. They're not caring about guarding thy treasure from loss. Daedalus. Yes, it took an hour and a half or more. It took a whole night for the thing to download. And then there's nothing but complaints. I'm watching Charles Hoskinson videos when he's got like 500 subscribers or something. And people are just totally negatively commenting. What is Daedalus? It's this piece of crap. And they didn't read for themselves what it was. They're looking into the understanding of it. And so there was born in 2018 to 2019 began the beginning of my consolidation to Cardano for peace of mind in the guarding my treasure from loss. So I sleep well at night talking to you all about the layer 1 of Cardano blockchain. And I fear not exposing the total, how do I want to say this? Lack of formal methods of a language called Solidity, which powers Ethereum, where everyone's looking and losing. It's like the potential for you to be involved in a breach, an attack, is a lot larger. And I don't want to make that decision. Solidity, the language of Ethereum, is a hacker's playground where your treasures are not guarded from loss. And that's one example. So you can look at my video where I look at the hacks, or go to DeFi Llama on your own and search the hack button and look for yourself where the treasures are lost. Tell me if you find Cardano's blockchain on there. It's been a long time. Every day that goes by, it's more and more proven to me. Right? So you have to guard your treasures from loss, and that's the fourth one. Okay. So we're getting towards the end. We have 2 more. All right? We have 2 more. We're hanging out on Saturday. We're doing 2 more. And we got a little cup of something, right? Cup of something. We got the Wild West. I'm trying this like mushroom stuff, you know? It's like, it's all right. I'm drinking it for the healthiness of it. It's not that it's the best tasting thing, right? The 5th cure for a lean purse. Ensure a future income. The life of every man proceedeth from his childhood to his old age. This is the path of life, and no man can deviate. Therefore I do say that it behooves a man to make preparation for a suitable income in the days to come when he is no longer young, and to make preparation for his family should he be no longer with them to comfort and support them. This lesson shall instruct thee in providing a full purse when time has made thee less able to learn. A man who, because of his understanding of the laws of wealth, acquireth a growing surplus, should give thought to those future days. He should plan certain investments or provision that may endure safely for many years, yet will be available when the time arrives which he has so wisely anticipated. Because we live in our own day and not in the days which are to come, we must take advantage of those means and ways of accomplishing our purposes. Therefore, I do recommend to all men that they, by wise and well thought out methods, do provide against a lean purse in their mature years. For a lean purse to a man no longer able to earn, or a family without its head, is a sore tragedy. Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family. Fifth cure. To come. Right? To come. In future videos, I'll talk about some protocols that are right up this alley that I participate in. Again, that's all an exclusive member content, which is basically given out for free. But you have to pay something for it, right? It's not like it can be given for free. I mean, you have to like put some skin in the game and consider it to consider it serious. So that's a way to sort of filter, people. But it's very powerful, right? We want to make the most of our time, make the most of our effort. And there's 1,000 ways that we live in, 1,000 ways that we are creative in our own designed way. And we have so many different passions, hobbies, and things we want to do with our lives. And there's a bonus number 7 where I'll talk about it that relates to this. It's more about our time, right? Right, than money, right? Isn't it? Isn't life more precious in the form of time? And so this is just a sliver of what we could do with our lives, with our time, to help us in our future. Okay, the last cure that I'll share with you here. Increase thy ability to earn. This day I speak to thee, my students, of one of the most vital remedies for a lean purse. Yet I will talk not of gold, but of yourselves, who do sit before me. I will talk to you of those things within the minds and lives of men which do work for or against their success. Preceding accomplishment must be desire. Thy desires must be strong and definite. General desires are but weak longings. For a man to wish to be rich is of little importance and of little purpose. For a man to desire 5 pieces of gold is a tangible desire, which he can press to fulfillment. After he has backed his desire for 5 pieces of gold with strength of purpose to secure it, next he can find similar ways to obtain 10 pieces, and then 20 pieces, and later 1,000 pieces. And behold, he has become wealthy. In learning to secure his one definite small desire, he hath trained himself to secure a larger one. This is the process by which wealth is accumulated, first in small sums, then in larger ones, as a man learns and becomes more capable. Desires must be simple and definite. They defeat their own purpose should they be too many, too confusing, or beyond a man's training to accomplish. As a man perfecteth himself in his calling, even so doth his ability to earn increase. The more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. The man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded. If he is an artisan, he may seek to learn the methods and the tools of those most skillful in the same line. If he laboreth at the law or at healing, he may consult and exchange knowledge with others of his calling. If he be a merchant, he may continually seek better goods that can be purchased at lower prices. always do the affairs of men change and improve, because keen-minded men seek greater skill, that they may better serve those upon whose patronage they depend. Therefore, I urge all men to be in the front rank of progress and not stand still, lest they be left behind. Many things come and make a man's life rich with gainful experiences. He must pay his debts with all the promptness within his power, not purchasing that for which he is unable to pay. He must take care of his family, that they may think and speak well of him. He must have compassion upon those who are injured or smitten by misfortune, and aid them when reasonable limits. He must do deeds of thoughtfulness to those dear to him. And that is the last parable that I'm going to share with you here, right? There's no substitute for hard work. There's no substitute for continuing to learn. In fact, it keeps us sharp. It keeps us mentally malleable. The brain loves to continue to think and to learn and to grow. And this whole blockchain world, this cryptocurrency world, was that example for me. It stretched my imagination. It challenges me still to this day, every day, to understand, to learn more at this rapid growing asset class. And it actually helps you develop this process of learning, helps you develop deeper into the art that you're into, whatever this is. You know, one of my mentors said, which was very powerful, and I didn't get it at first. He said, what I want you to do is go home and think about what you wanted to do, what your dream was when you were 14 years old, around that time. Because when you were that age, you were fearless, and you had these desires, and you had these dreams, and you might have daydreamed. And you also may have been shot down by your parents, by your peers, by society. They say, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's a crazy idea. Don't do that. And you went more the secure route in life. Well, fortune favors the brave. So think about that. Think about what you wanted to do. Spark that imagination back up in your life. See where it takes you. And in the meantime, you could gain some knowledge here in this world and in this space. Okay, so it feels good to have just transferred some of that knowledge out to you all here. And I hope at least there's one person that gains something out of this, which will make it all worth it for me, because I was that person. I was that one person amongst many. I know there's many, but I was an example of that person who is just completely changed by this exact text, more than any other thing. You know, I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, The One Thing. I've read all the books, 4-Hour Work Week, lots of them. Okay. Think and Grow Rich. Just tons and tons and tons of stuff. For some reason, this spoke out to me, and it might not be the case for you, but there should be something in there for you. And so now that that is behind us, we're going to look at our portfolio here in this model portfolio. Okay. As we move along, the tracking of it. So this is like the second aspect of our video. Today is March 2nd, 2024. And we're going to take a look at the growth of the portfolio. Okay. So as you can see in the background, there's a slight little change. Here are all the CNTs. If you're newer to the channel, these are Cardano native tokens. We just number them. They're masked here because it's not about trying to knee-jerk you into getting and acquiring these assets. ADA is discovered, and I did disclose what the CNT1 is, because as you can see, it's got the green bar, which meant that it was the first to go off the chart, which means that it grew over 100%. It's actually growing towards going off the chart again, and that's very interesting. Okay, and we're going to look at that in a second. And I did not forget about the bonus 7. There was 6 little parables, these lessons of curing a lean purse. I'm going to tell you the 7th here. Don't worry about that. I'm going to get back to that. So what we have now, I did this late last night, so it's really today actually. And what we did was we added up the token prices, and we are now nearing the $1 million mark in the model portfolio. Okay, and so this is our increase, $397,000 in just over a month. Okay, just over a month. This is a short month too. February is a short month. So and these are the number increases. So for instance, ADA, and we can slide it all the way over here. Okay, this is what the total allocation was in US dollar when we started. It was $200,000 worth of ADA, and that has increased itself by $121,000. Okay, so the total is 321, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so you can sort of look at this, and not every single one of them is in the black, right? So for instance, CNT8 is down $468. CNT15 down $2,000, $2,100. Okay, 26, 72, 33. These are all down in their value. Okay, so it's not that every single one of these is going up, although I do have massive high hopes for these, and we'll see what happens over time. Because in the last video, I discussed that there's a lag that happens, right? So when Bitcoin is going up in its upward direction, the altcoins follow later. They have a lag. And so when you're also then looking at Cardano native tokens, there is an additional lag sometimes, right? Not everyone. I mean, there's outliers like CNT1, right? There's outliers that just, they go in their own direction. And that's what's kind of nice about these positions, is that at any given time, some of these small projects in their infancy can all of a sudden have a immersion of growth right out of the blue that don't make any sense. Okay. So, but generally there is a lag that happens. So it's like first Bitcoin goes up, then the altcoins ADA will go up, and then the Cardano native tokens building upon ADA. It's just kind of the way it is now. From my experience, having gone through, this is the 3rd bull cycle in my analysis experience, meaning where I've had firsthand experience. So here we are. It's awesome. This is extremely powerful. And our portfolio growth trackers, this is like the portfolio overall. It's almost about to go off the chart in its own right. Okay, so that's exciting. And so I expect many off the chart measures to happen in real time very soon. And so what we're looking at here is all of the tokens, and I'm going to adjust this to about, let's see what 90% is. 90%. What I want to do is be able to see all of the tokens in there, maybe like 90, maybe like 85%. Let's see 85%, see what that does. Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. So we have all the charts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go down. So you can't see them up here, that's fine, 24. What you're looking at here are the prices, okay? So this is the price of ADA when we first started tracking. This was the price of CNT 1, 2, and 3, and all that. And then it goes down. You can see what we do is we add those prices in. And so CNT1 is really kicking butt. In fact, I think the last time I looked at it, like this morning today, this is up in like 95 cents. So it'd be nice to do another update with this bonus CNT. Our first pick, by the way, like, right? That's exciting. That's very exciting. It's one of our biggest positions. And at this moment here, 219, this is when it went off the chart. And when we disclosed to our exclusive members, some interesting details about the future development of this project. And so congratulations to all of you exclusive members out there, that OG members took advantage of this wave, because it's about to 100% again. And this is interesting because some of these projects, like I've shown before in TradingView, they go thousands of percent. And so some of these tokens are going to go off the chart. If this grows 10,000%, we're going to see this change a lot. And so look at some of these that are very close to coming off the chart. This is going to look a lot different in the days to come, weeks to come, in my opinion. We have CNT5. That is like, we could literally just consider this one off the chart, meaning it's grown in its value 100%. Let's see, are there any other ones? Yeah, we got okay, ADA is getting up there too. ADA is getting up there in its own right. Getting off the chart. CNT13, that's super close. By the way, AGIX is damn near off the chart again. So we have CNT5, we have CNT1, we have CNT13, 11's doing good. Any others? Okay. Oh, CNT24 popping up. And then you have some of these that are sideways, right? And this one that like lost, okay? So some of them are lower, right? And this is why you diversify. And 13, right? 19 is kind of looking up. CNT7, 6, they're all kind of coming. They're all getting near doubling. You know, wouldn't it be something if every single one of these actually at least goes off the chart once? That'd be crazy. That'd be awesome. That'd be really wonderful. You know, just a quick reminder that what we do on the portfolio tracking here publicly on YouTube is a collection of the 25 assets. So we have ADA and then 25 CNTs, Cardano native tokens. Our full portfolio is comprised of 50 assets, okay? And that's excluding NFTs, all right? So we're not showing any NFTs on here. That's a whole different subject. Again, there's exclusive member content. So I highly recommend that if you have $47 lying around, you can become an OG member, for crying out loud. This won't be here forever, and when that's over, this price will go way up. It's just where I show and share deeper information. I come up with weekly reports that I share out. Congratulations to you all who have read and understood some of the beautiful news that's happening, that it's not like I have the time to share with you here in these channels. Okay, so we got the memberships, we got the roadmap, we got the news, we got the blog coming up. That's a new thing. We're changing things around. We got implementing new things into our roadmap, and here we have a blog coming. So if you like reading or you want to share some stuff, you can check out our blog. Really proud of that. We have a book coming out. I wrote a book. It just needs to be finished. You know, we need to figure out how to self-publish and all that stuff. But really valuable asset that could be a welcoming gift to all the exclusive members, as well as just being something that you could read for your own pleasure or what have you. And so OG members, man, get in that. We got the Inner Circle group also, and we're going to formalize a mastermind group shortly in the future. So you could check our roadmap for more details on that. And let's just pop over here to the charts real quick before we get into it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at AGIX. Gosh. You know, and I have people all over, I have friends and family, right? Like so before doing this channel, there's like friends and family I consult and I help them. There's like around 20 people. And they're just blowing me up all like, what do I do with AGIX? What do I do with AGIX? It's like, is there still room? It's like, it's just hard to predict, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. Do I think that the future of AGIX will continue to grow? Absolutely. It's our number one pick for sure. We do in Crypto Fluency here. And if you imagine a token rising thousands of percents, yeah, right. It has the ability to grow thousands of percents. Something that I can show you too is, let me show you this here. Okay. Let me show you this. This is some exclusive stuff here. Okay, it's a Bitcoin chart. Check it out. Where are we at? Let's look at the BLX. So if you don't know what the BLX is, it's the Brave Bitcoin Liquid Index. It's the chart that has the most history. It's a chart I set up. Oh man, I would say like 6 years ago. This chart, I actually set this up. Then I have not changed it. I just have changed it. Look at it. Look at where we are. So, but what I want to show you is something pretty interesting. And where's a logarithmic? Okay. Okay. I just want to kind of zoom in to like the beginning of this. So this is like AGIX basically has like this amount of data, correct? Right? It's the smallest little amount of data. Okay. And so it's kind of like up, it's here, it's going down, and then it's like over here, right? And if we zoom in, we continue to zoom in, what I want to show you is like the power. Like we saw how small and insignificant that this looked, right? Like let's not forget that AGIX, right? It kind of looks, it's like, oh, it's going to change with how I do it over there. But look how it's just like that's what it is because it just started, okay? It's in its infancy. In fact, most of every single other CNT asset does not even have data this much yet, okay? So look how just small it is. It's so tiny. Okay, now we're back on the BLX. And it just annoyed us by going all the way back to how it was. But it's fine because I know how to work my way around this in quick fashion. So just kind of bear with me. Whoop, I should probably move something. I'll fix it up. Okay, so here we are, right? It's like burr, 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 burr. We're going down the path and Bitcoin's doing it. Just imagine, see, like what happens is during this time, you were like, I don't know, like where Bitcoin can go. Maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down. And like the more that you zoom in to this, the more you can really behold the power of what price action can actually do, right? And so to give you some measure, right? To give you some measure from the bottom here at like $2.73 to up here, see if it'll give me a nice little indicator. Okay, to the top-ish area, that little bit in its first infancy was 43,000% gain, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. When you're here hanging out and you just bought Bitcoin, you're like, everybody's like, oh, I don't know, right? I'm telling you, there's a lot of people. This is when I actually was first seeing Bitcoin on a video on YouTube. It was about Bitcoin mining, and I just didn't take advantage of it. It's one of these things where I look back and I'm like, oh my God, and we probably all have those moments. But why I put this stuff out there for you guys is because right now you're in that same opportunity. There's the same opportunity. It's just in different assets. But so it's like, I don't understand why people are so fixated on Bitcoin. They're like, Bitcoin, gotta get Bitcoin because everybody's talking about it. It's the most popular. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's 43,000% gains have been here and they've been gone. Right. So that's what I'm trying to say is that those growth measures were so massive. Right. And that when you zoom out, okay, they begin to look very small in the history of Bitcoin. They begin to look very small when you look at the trajectory of the Bitcoin cycle, right? And so we just looked at that increase. Look how massive that increase was. Okay, but in real time, it didn't look like that much. And so if we were to take AGIX and, yeah, you can make the case it's 43,000% is a crazy number to go. It's a crazy number. But when you look at perhaps how little and small the AGIX history will look over time, so let's do a little calculation here. Let's take this from like the bottom, and let's go to where we say, okay, from like that point's kind of fair. 43,000% right there, 43,000%. What will that put? That put AGIX at $60, $70. Yeah, is that a crazy number? Yeah, it's a crazy number, $69. I don't know anybody out there that's predicting it's a $70 AGIX. Now, is it possible that AGIX can go to $70? Yeah, absolutely it could. Could it go half that? Sure. Could it go to $50? Could it go to $10? Sure, right? We can never count anything out. And so if you're sitting here like, oh my God, I missed this little rise, I missed this little bit, and it goes to $10, $15, then what are you going to say? Then you're going to miss out. So if we take the price measurement tool from like here, this point right here, let's say it goes to 10, $15. Could it do that? Absolutely. There's a 1,400% gain. Right? I'm not saying that this is where it's going to go. I'm not predicting. I'm just saying that when you're thinking about this, we all sometimes get bothered by missing some kind of a trend. What we do is we hope it will retrace such that we can put money into it. But sometimes, especially in a bull market, these markets move in a direction and they never come back. So if we look at ADA, okay, yes, it kind of, in the last cycle, the last bull cycle, okay, it comes up. It's on its little rampage of growth out of the bull market, has a retracement, and then it pops up here and people are like, well, I'll just like wait, look at that candle. It went so high up, and I had people at this time. They're like, oh, I'll just wait. I'll wait around. I'll wait for it to come back down. And what happens is it never comes back down. It actually just goes in this direction, leaving you in the dust. And then unfortunately what happens is it goes here and you're like, well, of course it's going to come down. Of course it will. Because you're so used to this long drawn out bear market. What happens is you're like, of course it will. And then boom, it pops up and you're like, well, I can't buy now. It's got to come back down. And what? This is February 1st. Oh my God, 2021. February 1st is my birthday. So that's cool. And February 1st, okay. And then this was 217 days from this point. So it looks like it's not that much time, but I mean, that's too, and then if you stretch it out to here, yeah, it's like over a year before that happens. And you missed out on 300% gain from this point. 300% gain. Now, if you would have got in down here, that's 1,500% gain, right? More or less. 1,700% gain. Okay. And so what happens is that people get nervous and fixated about it, missing out. Okay. And so could AGIX come back down? Sure it could. Could it also sort of like move up in this direction here? And let me just kind of show you this. If I could do this for y'all here real quick. We'll show you the path. Could it like go like this? And then do something like this? Yes, that's what I'm saying, right? That's kind of like what I mean. How do you get out of that? Okay, cool. So could it kind of like shoot up and then its retracement, okay? It's massive retracement of 53%. This is a 53% decline happens up here at the $3 mark, okay? And you might say, well, that's impossible. Like, how could that ever be the case? I'm trying to say is this kind of stuff happens, right? Take it from somebody who's lived through several bull cycles already. This is what happens. It's at 96 cents. You're like, well, that's such a ginormous. Yeah, we're in a bull market. Okay. We're in a bull market. And if you're waiting for a decline to come back here and like say, oh, now I want to get in, you could be left in the dust. And then what happens is, and I had a lot of unfortunate people talking to them about this during the last cycle, is that then what happens is they end up buying like here and here. They end up buying in this area because they absolutely can't stomach it anymore. And then what happens is they realize that it's not that big of a gain. And then for a majority of their time, token is just falling down all the way through this entire bear market. Okay. And then that sentiment is residual, and we feel that pain, and we cannot make a rational understanding within ourselves that perhaps the structure is changed into a bull sentiment. And so down here, obviously that's like the time to, to accumulate. But what is it to miss out on some of the future potential gains of the next all-time high, right? So you have to do regret minimization with yourself and ask yourself these questions, right? If I buy AGIX today here, right? And in this also could, let me like delete that. It also, let me give the path. It could also, like you might predict, let me say, it also could, come down for a bit before it goes up. We never know. Nobody has a crystal ball. So that's why you have to ask yourself. That's why you have to say, if I buy AGIX here right now and it goes down all the way to here, how much pain am I going to feel? And then conversely, you say, if I don't buy AGX here, right? If I don't buy AGX here, AGIX here, and it like shoots up here, and then kind of bounces here a little bit, and then it like shoots up here on this bull market trajectory, how much pain am I going to feel? That's regret minimization. So you do those, and then you process, go to sleep, think about it, like let yourself think and process these outcomes. And so maybe splitting it down the line could be that you exhibit a very worthy strategy of dollar cost averaging, which is you just dollar cost average in. So if you have $100 or $1,000, let's just say you have $1,000 that you're like, I'm going to put into this space. Now, what most people will do is like in a moment's notice, just put $1,000 right in and buy right now, like right here, right? They buy right here. And then what happens is the market then like goes down, and they're like, oh gosh, before it ever kind of goes back up. Better would be to dollar cost average and say you put $100 at this mark, and then you put another 100 here, and then you put another 100 here. So you have $300 out of your 1,000, and then you put another 100 here. And then when it goes down like this, $400, you might put $600 down here, right? Because of how that went. And the other side, if you put $100 here, okay, you put $100 here because you're like, I don't know what's going on. You put $100 here, you put 100, right? This is how dollar cost averaging can help you. And as you're dollar cost averaging, you're tuned into the market, you're looking at it on a daily basis, or you're tuning into the channel and you're getting updates on what's going on in the markets, such that you know when to deploy a little bit more capital towards it. Okay. And if you put $100 in it here and it went up just in our little model, let me see if the price measurement tool, sometimes it gets finicky around when you have like other indicators around there. It goes 140%. So your $200, like your $100 went up. Okay. And so you should be happy either way when you regret minimize. into the situation. Okay. And so I hope this just gives you some food for thought. I know a lot of you are wondering what to do. Dollar cost average is a powerful strategy. I suggest you get into the inner circle group, because that's where you're going to see the 25 assets modeled on the portfolio. The OG membership, the $47 level, is going to give you a full list of the 50, but you're not going to know exactly what the 25 are in the model portfolio. Plus, there's not as much content that you receive. You will receive these weekly newsletters, they're not newsletters. They're kind of like annual, like weekly reports that I give out on fantastic news and happenings as it relates to each one of these NFTs or CNTs. So that's a powerful way for you to gain an understanding and more of a grip on market sentiment and conditions. Outside of that, you got to do your own work, your own research, your own due diligence, okay? Because things are heating up. And when you're in a bull market, it's different. Things have a different way of happening here. Like, look, right, there's not much time to make up space, okay? There's not much time to make up that space. And so where are we at? Let's like kind of zoom out. Where are we at with ADA? Where are we at with the markets? You know, are we at that time, right? See, it had a little up and it had a little down, and then it kind of took off. You know, it's like, okay, we had a little up, we had a little down. Is it going to take off? We don't know. We don't know. So the advantageous circumstance is that you are at least in position. Okay. Then you could sit back and dollar cost average and gain knowledge and education. Okay. And think about some of these principles in the book to continue to fatten the purse such that you have more to deploy, because this is a long game we're looking at and we're talking about. This is a long game that involves a bull market, and then there is a strategy to capture what happens at the top of these bull markets such that you can leverage the decline of the next bear market and capture and be more appropriately prepared to position in the next, okay, in the next decline, and ride that up into the year 2028, 29, 30 mark, right? Okay. Just like these principles talk about, is that you're wanting to have a wealth building process over years of time. There's no excuse for hard work. Okay. There's nothing lucky about this. In fact, he has a chapter in there that talks about the luckiest man in Babylon. And just a spoiler alert, the luckiest man is the person who hustles the hardest, who works the hardest. Luck comes to those that work hard. So there's really nothing lucky about this. It's strategy. It's hard work and effort over the course of these 7, going on 8 years now here at the channel. And at the very end, as promised, here is number 7. Here is number 7. Okay. I gave you the 6 in the beginning. This is important to me. This is number 7. This is not part of the book. We've all heard that money can be the root of all evil. And I think there's a lot to be said there. And if you look at the scriptures from where that's actually torn out of the Bible, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And that is powerful, because if your heart and your love and you're just going crazy about money, and you see this, you're like, oh my gosh, like $1 million, or you're in it just for the money, you're in it for the wrong reason. I really can't wait for the day until all this is done and I'm out of these markets, as far as the building of the portfolio. Okay. I'm mainly in these projects, and every single one of these top 25 and 50 overall, for the mission they're building. I believe in what they're doing. It's more important for me to be a part of something beyond the fact that the prices will go up. So I hope that sinks into you. It's not about the money as much as it is about your time. Time is money, they say. And it is. And my hope is that you can see a way to leverage using some of that, or directing some of your hard-earned effort towards something that is revolutionizing the world in such a way where it brings this incredible opportunity to you that could bring thousands of percent gains towards your hard-earned effort and your money, which will then give you time, right? And so with that, I think this was an extra long video, and you could just watch it in pieces, or you watch this whole thing. My mushroom coffee is extremely cold at this point, so it's not as good as before, but I'm going to drink the rest of it when we're done here. I'm happy to have hang out with you all here on this Saturday or whenever you watch it. Stay strong, stay diligent. Check out those cures for a lean purse. Look at yourself. Okay, do an analyzation of yourself. Be humble and honest with yourself. Okay, and remember, this isn't about money. This is about meaning. So our tagline is make tons of meaning, right? My mentor said anybody could make $1 million. Actually, if you think about it, people who aren't that skilled make millions of dollars. People who are kind of like stupid make millions of dollars, that don't have good intentions. They do it. It's not about the money. It's about meaning and quality of life and taking care of yourself and taking care of your family and your loved ones and your surroundings, your neighborhood, and helping the earth and helping the planet. That's what this channel is about. I appreciate every single solitary one of you. May we all be blessed with the bountiful fortunes and quality of our lives. And until next time, stay diligent. I'll see you in the OG membership right now. I'll see you in the Inner Circle exclusive membership right now. Cheers.